What's going on, guys? We're back here with another video this week. How did we do on the Mr. Sinister Blitz? We ranked number 48. So we got 110 shards of that bad boy, and that is just amazing. So today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking a look at how I'm going and grinding in the blitzes, and that way you guys can kind of see my roster, see the type of strategies I'm using. Again here, just showing you guys here, last week placed 72 in the sharpshooter one, so that was because I was gunning for gold orbs. Just right now with Agent Coulson, just too hard to pass up. And again, just a reminder here, we placed in number 48 at 26 mil. I would have been okay with 23. I believe the 100 breakoff was 23, but I want some insurance. So again, guys, the rewards have changed a bit here. You can see now it's expanded out to 2,000, and then they've kind of broken down the percentages. But yeah, let's get right into it. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get any gameplay on the weekend here, but I've got the next best thing, no pun intended. We've got the thing Blitz going on right now, and essentially when we start, and I've sped up the gameplay here so you guys can see it here quickly, so that way you're not wasting too much time on this part of the video. But essentially, you want to start low with your teams, go down to your rosters, start with the crappy teams. These are the ones I don't even have in my save rosters because they just suck, and they're just good for building that multiplier. And kind of as you go here, now I'm kind of using some of my teams here that I've saved up in the roster and just on the lower end. And that way you can kind of see it doesn't really matter. I'm just auto playing. Usually with the first bit of the blitzes, I'm moving from my lowest teams upwards to my higher teams, because with the lower multipliers, it really doesn't matter what teams you use. They're just, they're easy auto plays. You just auto play and just basically wait it out. I'm usually just doing some homework or grinding some coffee or something, or making some food while this is going on, so that way it's not a total waste of time here. So usually just all play. I don't even really check. Most of the time you'll win. I don't get a loss or two, but if it happens, it happens. It's gonna happen. It's just RNG sometimes. But as you can kind of see here, you want to save your bigger rosters as the multiplier gets up. They've revamped Blitz, so that way the multipliers do jump up quite a bit faster now. In the past it was like 1.0, and then it jumps to like 1.5, 2.0, etc. But now after your first 4 wins, it automatically jumps to 3.0, which is really nice. And then you can kind of go 3.25, 3.5, 3.6, etc., etc., etc. And then it just massively gets it progresses up to that 4.0 multiplier much quicker. And like I said, just random teams, like I said again, Agent Coulson teams, they've been okay as well. I haven't really finding them too great right now, just because there is that huge disparity between Agent Coulson and some of my other characters on that team, like Black Widow and Captain America. But that's I can't really complain. That's they win, they lose. It's it's a toss up between those guys. And then just sure win teams right now, like your defenders, your shield teams. And like I said, it's very sped up because again, I want you guys to just see just using crappy teams, get up that multiplier, and then as you kind of progress towards that 3.5, 3.6, 3.8 range, then you're using your bigger teams, your Ultron teams, X-Men. X-Men I think I've got last on here, but yeah, the bigger teams for last, because then at that point in time, that's when you're basically at the highest multiplier that it can be before the 2-hour reset. So again, you want to get this all done so that way you can get to 4.0 as fast as you can, and then you can start playing with the big boys. So there you go, have to get there. Yep, Blood Brotherhood's a good one too. This one's actually one of my more favorite ones because they can auto play even at the higher tiers, which is really great. You guys will see that in the next part of the video here, but like I said already, just getting that multiplier. Now we're pretty much near the end here. We've got our Min Guardians. Again, you can pretty much auto play these guys as well, depending on the opponents you get, depending on RNG as well. And finally, we've got X-Men, and they will waste this team, since X-Men basically wastes everything on auto play. And there you guys have it. Boom. So now we're going to go on to the next part. Alright guys, so where to begin? So we've reached the 4.0 multiplier using our crappy teams and kind of just auto playing it. And now we're going to take a look at my lineup. So just starting here at 4.0 tier, basically tier 8, no stages in the tiers yet. So we're just gonna quickly look at the roster here. Again, pretty straightforward amount of teams. We've got Min Guardians, we've got X-Men, Then we've got my Brotherhood team as well here. And, those are the ones I feel very good in terms of auto-playing. Defenders, and then we got a couple of hybrid teams with the Ultron. And again, these ones, not as comfortable as the first three, but still very decent teams, especially at 8.3. Shield, you've got Brawlers, and then again, we've got our new one, which is the Supernaturals. These ones, again, they win, they lose, depending on the situation and RNG. Got Power Armor, Avengers, and now we've got some villains. Again, this villain team is another one I kind of use my Ultron with as well. I slot them in there. Kree, Spider-Verse. These ones are a bit odd. Sometimes I always lose with those, so I just switch down, and usually I lose a battle, and then I kind of try again. These ones, same one again. These are great. These lower teams, the Wakandans and the Sinister teams. I mean, these ones are great because they're just building the multiplier up to 8.3. So that's usually the ones I use it for. And again, just some scraps at the end there. But without further ado, let's get into this. So we're clocking at about 970-ish thousand. So that's what we're starting at. Let's see what we can finish out. Usually I kind of average anywhere between 800,000 to a mil per session. So again, this one's nice and easy. We can usually just autoplay these. I love my Sinister 6. I just got to work on it. I've got my Mercenary Soldier there, and he's actually really good. He works out, giving them extra defense, and actually makes them quite a bit tanky. And then again, Fantastic Four, another great one I autoplay as well, especially if you're up against a crappy, non-synergistic team. So same thing here, we kind of just autoplay it here. And then 8.2, 8.3, that's kind of where sometimes it gets a little tricky. And then with my Wakandans, picking a nice squishy team here. So again, we're gonna build up that defense. And this one I'm not gonna autoplay. I want to make sure I can win this, so we're not wasting time here. And again, like I said, with Miles and Spider-Man there, like they're squishy, just helps feed Black Panther, and Killmonger and Okoye do a decent amount of damage as well. So we're gonna right out to the top here. We're gonna go to the top with our best roster. Just like I'm switching between the top ones and the bottom ones because sometimes you want to see what teams are basically around. And let's see if we can get a win out of this one here. Supernatural is one I've really been enjoying as well here with the autoplay. They've just been so good, especially with the turn meter. It just fills that speed bar with if you've got Ghost Rider on your team. And it's just absolutely phenomenal. So boom, we got a win there. And now we're going to switch around to our higher teams. Usually I do Min Guardians or X-Men depending on what the teams are. And in this case, we're going X-Men because these guys are very good against the Defenders team, and you can just autoplay this stuff. Like I said, there isn't much teams that this team can't win against. Usually, I have never lost with these guys on autoplay. So again, maybe that depends on RNG, but that's just my luck. We're gonna go with our Defenders because there's some squishy teams here we can use. Always switch around, always look around, see what teams are around. That's what I'm kind of doing here, and I know it's very fast right now because I've sped up the gameplay to save a bit of time. But for sure, check around, see what's there. Usually the non-synergistic teams like these ones, they're crappy to go up against. And with Defenders, they're one of my more comfortable teams I use, and I've loved the Defenders. These guys are just so good all around. We're going to switch back to Brotherhood because, there's some squishier teams again. Brotherhood's another great one you can autoplay, especially if you see teams with Spider-Man and Gamora. These guys are just squishy. I mean, obviously, if these teams had some tanks like Hulk or Crossbones, where they've got a little bit more AoE damage, then it's a little problematic. But again, if you've got Gamora, you got Spider-Man, go for those teams, especially with the squishies. Again, non-synergistic teams, we're going against this one because it's X-Men. Not X-Men. You've got Wolverine, you've got like a Defenders sort of thing going on, and then you got Korath, which is just random. So again, just go for the non-synergistic crappy teams, and those will be usually the easy ones. With Min Guardians as well, these guys do very well against all types of meta. So usually these ones are my, if you can't find teams that are worth the switch and you just can't find the right rhythm, usually use these ones for 8.3. Those guys are great. Ultron, this one's a bit of a mix-up. I needed something to slot in with my hand teams and still get the points, and I found that Ultron was a perfect missing piece. I should have Hand Sentry in there as well, but I found that he's actually better on a villain's team, and that's kind of what I've been doing here. Oh, yeah, okay. So in this case, actually, this was a really bad matchup. This is another one. It's a hit or miss with these ones, but again, just trying to go for those extra points. We're just going to take the loss here because then we can use some of these lower tier teams. And again, another strategy here is if you lose, don't worry about it. There's always ways you can bring it back up. That's what I'm doing here. I'm going to try this one now. Might not be able to win against defenders, but we're going to try. Just because when you lose, sometimes they do change the matchups, and that's why if I'm going to lose, I'm going to use a crappy team and see how it goes first. So yeah, I don't think we're going to win this one. This one seems a little bit iffy right now. Yeah, that taunt really killed me there. If we would have taken those guys out before Luke Cage's taunt, that would have been fine. So we're going to go with our Hulk team now and see how this one does. So now we're at 8 wins, 2 losses, which isn't bad, but could be better. And usually I average about 15, 16 wins. It's usually pretty good, just because obviously with blitzing, you want to make sure you're as efficient as possible. So again, using those lower tier teams to get back up to 8.3. Let's try a different mix up here. And again, I didn't like that matchup with Agent Coulson, so that's why I went with AIM. And this is like another great one to auto play. Again, you're going to find teams that you really, really enjoy auto playing, and this is one of the better ones. And this is actually a really great one on war defense right now too. So if you guys don't have these guys leveled up, definitely level them up. These guys are beast on war defense right now. They've been kicking ass. So again, guys, level these guys up. They're awesome. So we're back at 8.3. Now we can start playing with the big boys. And let's see here. We're going to try an Agent Coulson one. These ones are, like I said, Agent Coulson's still a bit iffy. Sometimes I win, sometimes I lose, but we'll see how this one goes. Usually if Agent Coulson can land the right ult on the right person and not a tank, then it turns out fine. But I've had times where it lands on Luke Cage or a Juggernaut or something, and then I'm like, holy cow, that sucks. But in this case, we did win, so that's great. 10 wins now. And let's see, now we're going to throw a Power Armor there. Another one with Power Armor. These ones I don't mind auto playing as well, but just to guarantee myself to win, especially when there's a Hulk and Crossbones, I usually don't like to mess around here, and I like to make sure I'm doing all the damage to the right targets. So there we go, 11 wins now. And so far so good, guys. So far so good. So we're at 11 wins now. And yeah, we're going to go for Punisher. Always go for Punisher. He just hits really hard. You don't want to use his AoE. So go for him on these. And again, picking the non-synergistic teams. We want to be smart. Why would we go up against X-Men and Defender teams if there's teams that don't really have too much synergy? And that's what I'm doing there. And the Shield team's wrecking this, guys. I love my Shield team. All right. So that's another one there. And just scrolling down, see what we've got left. We've got a bit of brawlers now. So again, this is the brawler combination I've been using just because these are leftovers. I don't really know what to do with Gamora and Deadpool. And obviously, you know, Miles was in this team before, but I pushed him back into my Spider-Verse team because he was just more effective there. And yeah, poo. And there you go. Yeah. So usually Defenders is pretty good. Brawlers usually does pretty good against Defenders. If you see a Defenders team with your Brawlers, go for that. Take out Punisher and Iron Fist, and you are solid. And we're going to go for a Villains team now. And it's not, like I said, we're just switching around. Always go for squishy matchups, like I said. Look for the Spider-Man, look for the Crossbones, look for the Gamoras. They're squishy, they're easy. So in this case, even with this Kree team, I don't always feel too good about this team. Are we going to lose? Yeah, see, so those guys are always a toss-up. I thought we were going to win that one. I guess not. Sorry about that. All right, back to the start now. And, you know, there's no point in closing your game. If you lose, it's fine. Usually in this situation, if you lose, you can always come back with some of your lower teams, and it actually makes it easier. Sometimes it's better that way to do that. And that's why I don't really try to force it out. If you keep trying at 8.3 sometimes, it's just you end up losing more than you win. So that's why I just take the losses. And it almost resets the calculator, I think, for the teams. I almost feel like sometimes when you reach a certain point in 8.3, the teams just keep coming with meta difficult teams, and it's just terrible matchups. So there you guys have it there. And we're going to finish off the last one here. Yeah, let's see here, pal. Yeah, so this one was pretty good, actually. So, again, sometimes I do slot in Ultron in here, just in case, if you want to get that win. So that's what I did there. And sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just keep my villains there. And now what I'm doing is just picking some scraps that haven't been picked. And I know with some of the stragglers you may have, Ultron is just the perfect piece to kind of put everything back together, and he'll get you those wins. So, again, with Ultron, you can take on a lot of difficult teams. Unfortunately, we weren't able to win that one with the hand team, but usually I do win. So it just depends. It depends on the RNG sometimes. Can't guarantee all the wins, but so far so good. So we got 16 wins, 3 losses. So that's pretty good. I believe we're just missing one team here, but we're gonna leave it there. And again, guys, like I said, your teams are going to differ depending on, you know, how many characters you have unlocked there. But, you know, take a look at your teams. It's usually metas that are good. Ultron fills in the gap. If you lose, don't worry about it. Sometimes losing is, you know, it's not exactly the worst thing in the world. It'll lower that multiplier back to the 8.0, and then it actually becomes a little bit easier for you to win depending on the teams you have. Keep some of your lower teams so you can bring them up to 8.3 quicker. So, for example, like my Wakandans and my AIM team. But yeah, hopefully these tips and tricks helped you guys out. I know that, you know, with blitzing, it's gonna take time. For me, I've blitzed a lot, and I've become sort of I don't know, I'd say sort of like an addict with Blitz. I always enjoy it when there's new characters, because I know I can definitely get into those top 2,000, I guess, now with the ranges. But yeah, hope the gameplay helped you guys out, and if you guys got any questions or concerns, other than that, guys, thank you for watching, and happy gaming!